So what happens when the person you're head over heels in love with comes with a family you just can't stand? Today we're diving into a really personal story that puts that exact dilemma right under the microscope. It's a story where a fairy tale romance collides head-on with a truly toxic family dynamic.
It's a situation that feels uncomfortably familiar to a lot of us, right? You find your person, the connection is so real, everything feels perfect, but then the family gets involved, and that beautiful dream starts to show some serious cracks. Well, for a woman named Anastasia, this wasn't just some hypothetical question. It became the absolute defining crisis of her life and her relationship.
You know, every great drama needs a perfect beginning to make the fall that much harder. And for Anastasia and her partner Dwayne, their stories started out as a true fairy tale long before any family drama ever showed up.
I mean, this wasn't just some casual dating thing. This was the kind of connection people write songs about, you know? It was filled with sweetness, simplicity, and this real feeling that they were just meant to be.
Their whole bond was built on real quality time and this deep, almost intuitive understanding of each other. They were a team, a single unit. But the thing is, the strength of that unit had never, ever been tested by the powerful, complicated force of family.
And here is where that fairy tale smacks right into a very harsh reality. The moment Dwayne decided it was time for Anastasia to finally meet his family, the very first and very strange red flag went up.
Okay, so let's just break down how bizarre this first meeting was. Imagine this. Dwayne's grandmother, Pearl, pulls up to meet you for the very first time, but she just stays in her car. Dwayne goes over to talk to her, leaving Anastasia standing there all alone. So when a neighbor comes out, Anastasia does the normal, polite thing and says hello. But for Pearl, who's watching all this from the car, this was somehow a massive, unforgivable offense.
And boom, just like that. The verdict was in. Based on literally nothing more than a friendly hello to a neighbor, the family matriarch had decided that Anastasia was rude and disrespectful. And that set the tone for everything. And I mean everything that was about to come.
But as Anastasia would soon find out, this wasn't just about one difficult grandmother. Oh no. This was basically a coordinated family effort. The hostility started coming at her from multiple directions, all at once. And the hostility really did come from all sides. You had the sister, Vashti, who was driven by this intense jealousy that led her to actively try and sabotage things. Then there was the father, Jonathan, whose meddling just blew past all normal boundaries. And even the other grandma, Bootsy, was there just adding to the general atmosphere of hostility.
But the conflict quickly went from just awkward to genuinely dangerous. So let's walk through this insane incident with the sister, Vashti. While she's driving, Anastasia and Dwayne share a simple, sweet kiss in the backseat. Vashti sees this in the rearview mirror and gets so consumed by a jealous rage that she literally runs the car off the road. And her excuse? She said she was distracted trying to call her man. A man who, by the way, wasn't even that into her.
So the really crucial thing to get here is that this wasn't some isolated outburst. The sister and her cousin basically made it their ongoing mission to exclude Anastasia. They were constantly reinforcing this one message: you are not, and you will never be, one of us.
And then you had the father, Jonathan. His meddling was so intense, so completely boundary-crossing, that it felt like he was trying to be the one in the relationship with Anastasia, not his son. It was just another layer of this deeply uncomfortable and totally inappropriate behavior.
But all of that, the grandmothers, the sister, the father, that was all just the opening act. The main event, the central conflict of this entire story, revolved around Dwayne's mother, LaCangela.
And look, while the rest of the family was difficult, Dwayne's mother, LaCangela, was on a whole other level. Seriously, she was the one who took this whole situation from just plain bad to truly, truly unbearable. And her control wasn't about one big confrontation. It was more like death by 1,000 cuts. There were these constant demands for Dwayne's time, making him bring her specific food, guilt-tripping him into spending weekends with her because she was lonely, all while she was meddling in their private life, deliberately excluding Anastasia from family events, and just openly bullying her.
And this right here, this really gets to the absolute core of the problem. On one side, you have Anastasia's healthy role as a partner, building a shared life. But on the other, you see the role LaCangela was trying to play, demanding to know intimate details, trying to control his money and his social life. She wasn't acting like a mother. She was trying to be his partner. The boundaries were completely gone.
And that's really what it all boiled down to.
In her mind, there was simply no room for another woman in her son's life. She was number one, and she was going to keep it that way no matter what it costs her son's happiness or his relationship. Well, it's not surprising, is it? This constant, multi-front assault had a devastating effect. The fairy tale romance between Anastasia and Dwayne was now officially in a full-blown crisis.
And here we get to the most tragic turning point. Because when Anastasia, who was just drowning under the weight of all this abuse, turned to Dwayne for help, he couldn't give it to her. For him, this family dynamic was normal. The very idea that his mother could be wrong was unthinkable. He chose his family's toxic story over his partner's pain.
You can just feel the sheer emotional exhaustion in that quote, can't you? Anastasia was fighting a battle on all fronts, and the one person who should have been right there in her corner was siding with the enemy. The load just became impossible for her to carry alone. And you know, there's actually a clinical term for what's happening here between Dwayne and his mother. It's called enmeshment. It's way more than just being close. It's this kind of psychological fusion where the boundaries are so blurred, a child, even as an adult, can't develop an identity separate from their parent. For Dwayne, defending his mother wasn't just loyalty, it was self-preservation, because his sense of self was completely tangled up with hers.
And all of this left Anastasia in a truly impossible position. I mean, how do you move forward when the man you love is psychologically unable to stand with you against a family that is actively destroying your well-being?
And that really brings the question back to you, doesn't it? When the love of your life refuses to be your ally against a hostile family, what do? There are no easy answers here, and that is the impossible dilemma Anastasia was left to face.